At exactly 12 a.m. UTC on a Tuesday, every screen on Earth blinked. Phones buzzed, smart toasters beeped, Times Square lit up like a sci-fi emergency drill. The message was simple, elegant, and absolutely insane. Attention, global synchronized jump scheduled June 21st, 12 o'clock GMT. Participation mandatory, the Earth must move. Naturally, the internet did what it does best. Panic, meme, and panic again. Reddit exploded faster than a neutrino hitting a Higgs boson. Was this a joke? A cult? A long-lost Elon Musk side project? Then came the press conferences. NASA, CERN, and the International Bureau of Seriously Confused Scientists each issued vague, carefully worded statements. We are aware of the anomaly. We are monitoring the situation. Please stretch before participation. An official-sounding body no one had heard of before, the Global Gravitational Realignment Council, announced that the initiative was part of a planetary inertia calibration test. When questioned, a spokesperson blinked twice in Morse code. Soon, world leaders, physicists, and morning talk show hosts began speaking with the same rehearsed calm. This is not dangerous, they said. This is coordinated curiosity. By mid-June, synchronized jump drills were held in schools, prisons, and dental conventions. Churches blessed the jump. Fitness apps added Planet Leap Day workouts. Meanwhile, somewhere in Switzerland, a very serious man in a lab coat whispered, "If this works, we may finally dislodge the moon." But still, the biggest mystery remained. Why, and what exactly would happen when 8 billion humans left the ground at once? 12 GMT. Across deserts, cities, forests, and theme parks, 8 billion knees bent in unison. For one glorious, synchronized second, humanity stopped touching the earth. Grandmothers jumped, toddlers jumped, presidents and plumbers, deity prisoners and pop stars, even Jeff Bezos mid-parabola jumped again, just to be included. For a fraction of a second, there was silence, the kind of silence normally reserved for deep space or libraries with very angry librarians. Then, everyone came down. This first in. The force? About 1.2 trillion newtons, according to the International Center for Jump Physics, ICJP, a real-sounding institution founded 3 weeks earlier in someone's basement. Seismographs from Antarctica to Reykjavik lit up like Christmas trees. Somewhere in the Pacific, a shrimp briefly forgot how to swim. Technically, the Earth didn't budge. It did, however, shudder, just slightly, like someone trying to ignore a sneeze in a meeting. A tiny vibration rippled through the crust, generating a wave that geologists described as unremarkable, and conspiracy theorists described as step one. But then something odd happened. Earth's orbit shifted by 0.00000000000 meters. Scientists at NASA nodded gravely, sipped coffee, and declared this the least important orbital event in history. A new committee was formed to issue a statement about it. Another committee was formed to name that committee. And just like that, it was over. The most coordinated act in human history had happened. Nothing had exploded. The moon remained unimpressed. Well, except for one guy in Finland who landed on a Lego. For a few minutes, the world stood still, not in awe, but in collective confusion. Where were the shockwaves, the cataclysmic fractures, the towering tsunamis sweeping across continents, flipping cruise ships like rubber duckies? Instead, birds resumed chirping. Clouds floated lazily overhead. A barista in Rome sighed and went back to foaming milk. Across all continents, people stared at the ground, as if waiting for it to crack open and swallow them, or at least wiggle a little. It didn't. A group of physicists in Switzerland began aggressively recalculating, mumbling things like mass displacement ratio and ground reaction force coefficients. Meanwhile, the Global Jump Oversight Board issued an emergency press release. The results are currently under review. Please remain emotionally prepared. Conspiracy forums exploded. Some claimed the real jump had been a decoy. The true, synchronized leap was still coming, led by lizard people and timed with the next solar eclipse. Others blamed the failure on Australia, accusing them of jumping in the wrong direction. Media outlets ran split-screen broadcasts, one half showing puzzled crowds milling about, The other showing panel experts arguing over whether gravity was broken. Kids went back to school. Adults went back to work. One man in Kansas sued the government for emotional damages resulting from unmet seismic expectations. The court dismissed the case, barely. But beneath the surface, tectonic plates were whispering, just a tremble, just enough to be heard by someone or something listening. Here's the scientific truth no one wanted to hear. Earth is fat, like really fat. The combined mass of humanity, roughly 8 billion people jumping at once, adds up to around 600 million metric tons. That's a lot for a trampoline. But Earth clocks in at roughly 6 sepillion kilograms. That's 6 followed by 24 zeros. Compared to that, all of humanity is the equivalent of one sesame seed trying to shove a bowling ball. Enter Newton's third law. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So yes, when we jumped, Earth technically did recoil. Scientists calculated that the planet was pushed back by an almost imperceptible distance, about the width of a hydrogen atom. If you blinked for, say, the entire history of time, you might have missed it. Then there's momentum. Momentum equals mass times velocity. Let's say the average person jumps at 2 meters per second. Multiply that by 600 million metric tons and you still get peanuts. If momentum were a party, Earth didn't even RSVP. Seismographs? Oh yes, they recorded something. Somewhere in Iceland, a sensitive instrument twitched just enough to trigger a confused alert in a research center. The official report read, possible tremor or squirrel. In the end, the most powerful coordinated human act in history barely jiggled the planet. And somewhere, in a dark observatory, a physicist sighed and whispered, "We'll need a bigger jump." Okay, so what if everyone didn't jump globally, but instead gathered in one place, say, central Kansas, the most neutral ground imaginable? 8 billion people, shoulder to shoulder, all waiting to jump. The logistical nightmare alone would crash Google Maps, and several international agencies would be formed just to untangle the human spaghetti. But let's say we did it. One spot, one jump, boom. This time the Earth does feel it. A little. The combined weight compresses the crust like an overburdened trampoline. Local structures start to shake. Seismographs go wild. Somewhere deep below Kansas, a very confused mole turns over in his tunnel and files a noise complaint with the Department of Underground Affairs. Buildings around the zone would tremble, windows might crack, and some unlucky TikTokers would go viral for being knocked over mid-selfie. Vibrations ripple out like waves in a pond, stronger than before, but still nothing apocalyptic. The media, of course, would call it the bounce-pocalypse. There'd be expert panels, interviews with jumpers in themed jumpsuits, and at least one conspiracy theory involving ancient aliens and trampoline cults. In the end, Kansas gets a tremor, humanity gets a viral trend, and the Earth gets a shrug. Even with perfect coordination, we're just ants trying to make an elephant stumble. Still, the footage is incredible, especially the guy dressed as a banana being launched off a car roof. No tectonic disasters, no tilting of the Earth's axis, no splitting of continents, just one big collective hop. And yet, chaos erupted online. Within minutes, the world experienced the largest meme explosion in human history. The hashtag #EarthJump hashtag overtook every social media platform like a gravitational anomaly of its own. There were jump fails from every country, grannies flipping over yoga mats, dogs launching off couches, cats shooting into the air like furry missiles, and then giving their humans that classic, "You will pay for this" stare. TikTokers choreographed synchronized jumps that failed spectacularly. In Japan, a group of cosplayers mistimed the jump and ended up in a human pyramid collapse that was somehow both graceful and tragic. In Brazil, someone accidentally jumped into a swimming pool. Twice. Animals naturally panicked. Birds took off in massive clouds. Fish jumped in aquariums. One parrot reportedly shouted, "Earthquake," before biting its owner. Meanwhile, smartwatches logged 8 billion sudden, high-intensity activities and tried to call emergency services all at once, briefly overwhelming cell towers in 36 countries. Still, for the first time in human history, every corner of the globe participated in a single, ridiculous, oddly beautiful moment. Languages didn't matter, borders didn't matter, gravity united us. Well, for 0.2 seconds, then we came crashing back down to the usual chaos. But it was worth it, probably. For one brief moment, just a fifth of a second, the entirety of humanity moved as one. Not in war, not in competition, not in some global panic or viral dance challenge, but in a silly, glorious collective leap. Billions of people, from skyscrapers in New York to rice paddies in Vietnam, from frozen outposts in Antarctica to bustling markets in Lagos, all lifted off the ground in synchronized defiance of gravity. And for once, it wasn't politics or crisis uniting us. It was curiosity. It was the simple question, what if? As feet touched down again, the planet remained intact, but something inside us shifted. People talked, not just through screens, but with neighbors they'd never greeted. Did you jump? Became the universal icebreaker. Social media feeds, normally filled with outrage and ads, overflowed with genuine laughter, awe, and philosophical wonder. Kids asked if we could make the moon wobble next. Elderly skeptics admitted it was kind of fun. For the first time in recorded history, every human being had participated in the same act, at the same second, on the same planet. The sheer improbability of that fact settled in like a soft fog. Philosophers wrote about the jump age. Late-night talk shows featured emotional jump diaries. Even the United Nations released a commemorative statement calling it an unprecedented demonstration of synchronized silliness and hope. Sure, the Earth didn't budge, but maybe, just maybe, we did. Barely a week after the great global jump TM, the world's scientists, sociologists, and professional event planners, including the highly esteemed International Committee for Synchronized Tomfoolery, convened in Geneva with an audacious proposal. Make it annual. Thus was born the proposal for Earth Jump Day, a worldwide event to celebrate unity, curiosity, and apparently, calves. Presented as a fusion of science, silliness, and subtle cardio, Earth Jump Day would occur every March 20, equinox, when day and night are equal, just like all jumpers, regardless of how high they get. Schools would teach the physics behind the jump, cities would coordinate countdowns, and governments would argue over time zones in rare scenes of oddly enthusiastic diplomacy. Meanwhile, Earth's rotation would continue to ignore us. But beyond the laughs and ankle sprains, there was a deeper idea. Could synchronized global action become a thing? If 8 billion people could jump together, could they plant trees together, turn off lights, wave at Mars? The Mars bit is still under review by the Committee for Planetary Hand Gestures. And so Earth Jump Day wasn't just about jumping anymore. It became a strange symbol of hope, a time when humanity remembered it could, at least occasionally, do something absurd together. Maybe the Earth didn't move, but our hearts? Just a little. In the end, the Earth didn't budge. Not even a shimmy, not a wobble, not so much as a celestial hiccup. The mighty mass of our blue planet, all 5.972 sextillion kilograms of it, shrugged off humanity's combined jump like an elephant ignoring a flea ballet. Newton would have nodded smugly. But here's the twist. Maybe the point was never about physics, because what 8 billion people did move that day wasn't the Earth. It was each other. For one bizarre, beautiful moment, our differences flattened. Languages, borders, time zones, gone. Replaced by a single shared thought. We jump now. And jump we did. Synchronized absurdity on a planetary scale. The first global prank. The first mass experiment of coordinated nonsense. And somehow it mattered. We might not have nudged tectonic plates or altered planetary orbit, but we cracked open something else. Possibility. What else could we do together if we actually tried? End poverty? Colonize Mars? Invent socks that never disappear in the laundry? A single jump meaningless to the laws of motion, echoed through something even bigger. The collective imagination. It proved that while we can't move Earth with muscle, we just might move it with minds. And who knows? Maybe one day someone will press that same red alert button again. Only this time we'll be ready, capes on, shoes off, united in gravity-defying mischief.